Welcome to Everon, home to consistent warfare in multiple different eras, home to one of the most dangerous rally championships, and also acts as an insane asylum for the average tactical shooter player. And all this is found in Arma Reforger, which is a part of a series that embodies that old nostalgic Minecraft trailer, where you can do whatever you want, make your own rules, or follow a server's long list of them that leave you wondering if the person you just mag dumped will result in being kicked from the server. This series, I find, bridges the gap between milsim and casual players in the sense everyone has heard of it, which is the partial reason as to why it has lived on for all these years, because it really is one of a kind since there is no right way to play it. Of course, like many different gaming franchises, if you have a hit, trying to live up to its hype in a sequel isn't an easy task, or they just milk it till it eventually becomes really crappy. But the former, I believe is the word, is what happened to Arma Reforger. But why all of a sudden did tactical shooter YouTubers and many other people decide this is the current hot thing to play? Well, I'll show you, which is why I am pleased to present once again Arma Reforger. So, what exactly is this game? It's supposed to be a checkpoint between Arma 3 and 4 as a way for modders to get their work done for modding on the new Infusion game engine. It's not new, I say new air quotes, but it's responsible for the glorious graphics that leave me admiring them when I'm not looking at the map, trying to make heads or tails of where I am. It also doesn't primarily rely on single core performance, which means yes, you can play Arma above 50 FPS with all the tactical mods your heart can have. Of course, if you have a subpar PC, terms and conditions apply, but there's always consoles. Since this game is cross-platform, even though I'm more of a fan of segregation when it comes to tactical shooters in regards to console players, but that's a rant saved for later in the video, but it's a good way to experience the game series regardless. But to talk about the present, we must learn from the past, and why me, you, YouTubers, and even someone that got bombed on the day of release dislike this game. The first has to do with the price. I slave away, trying to make pennies to afford this game, and what we got was essentially a $50 tech demo. Then there was the whole server kerfuffle, which is, putting it politely, when in reality it was more of a tactical nuke that would wipe out servers. One minute you're driving along, blasting some tunes with your mates, and the next you're Alt F4ing the game and launching Arma 3 out of frustration. There was the limited amount of content as well, and quality of life features missing from the previous game. Now, this was an issue at release, but at the moment there's much more content in terms of vehicles and even destructible environments. There's also helis and APCs, and I feel like this really implements more of a combined arms aspect to the game. But there's also one more thing that I want to mention. So comparing Arma to a game like Squad is kind of pointless given that they're two completely different games, but just for the sake of comparison, if you're coming from Squad and what to expect from Reforger, and that is that Reforger is a little more chaotic and less cohesive in the sense that Squad is specifically designed with teamwork in mind, such as you want to build a hab, a spawn point, rally point, have to get on the mic, have to communicate to get enough people there to build it, as well as make sure you can put down a radio. But in Reforger, it's a little more all over the place in the sense that you join a squad, but like no one speaks in squad chat, rather everyone sort of speaks in the platoon channel, which is sort of like the command chat, except anyone can say anything to the detriment of the team at times. And there is a supply system, and that's another issue, is that really the more experienced players get dumped with that role, similar to squad leading in Squad. Like, I don't want to do it, a new player shouldn't have to do it, which usually leaves the burden onto a more experienced player, even though they might not want to take up that responsibility. And the same can be applied to the supply system in Reforger, in the sense that if you have no those supplies on points. You can't spawn there, you can't resupply, adjust your kit, spawn in vehicles even, and this requires people actually taking the initiative to get supplies to these points via helicopter or trucks. And the last thing I'll mention, just for comparison reasons, is the way weapon handles. While in squad, you're going to be running a lot, and if you run a lot, that means your aim is going to be terrible. And with the combat overhaul, they want you to sort of think of like, okay, if I'm going to near where enemies are, maybe I shouldn't sprint like a madman, take it slow, and then I can get more precise shots. However, in Reforger, you're doing even more running, but instead you just run in, stomp, aim, and then you'll have practically perfect accuracy majority of the time, and that's only in the base game. For mods, things can get really laser accurate. Now, some people might not like that, but it's just something to consider. Look, you can chalk this up to people having overblown expectations, but it was frustrating having people, and just a bit of a side tangent based on my current monologue that I'm about to give. I'm gonna get the Mussolini treatment in the comments, but people would scurry out of the woodworks, smash that Article 5 button as if criticizing an early access game that we all paid money for is a personal attack on them. I don't know. I was personally expecting a little more quality control for a paid product from a company that has a multi-million-dollar franchise that shouldn't get the indie dev treatment working on their first ambitious title. But all the negativity aside, I know I abuse people that don't use microphones as if they're the dirt of the bottom of the tactical shooter boot, but the microphone is essentially the entire reason why I play this game, because all the fun and memorable moments I've had is treating the other players as if they're like a strangers and freaks interaction from GTA. You could meet a man who's got his life together and wants to play seriously. Nothing wrong with that. Then you get people that are just simply put the funniest cunts you'll ever meet. Chances are, if you're watching this, you have a penis or lost one in an accident, but the male friendship is unique. The other day, I was 1 PM at my uni's bar. I was enjoying a lunchtime pint that was grossly overpriced. That's a whole different fucking argument there. But a random guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, do you want to play pool? And I'm like, I like pool. And then I play pool with the stranger. It's the exact same thing in Arma Reforger. You kind of just approach someone and say, hey, I hate communists. They're like, no way. There is no way. We hate communists as well. Let's go shoot some. And then all of you hop in the rally car. You might drive into a minefield. You might suffer an RPG-induced headache. Oh, down the road! Or you might get to where you want, shoot some people and die. Sure, it sounds like I'm taking the piss, which is what I usually do with tactical shooters, but the Australian servers are absolutely chill. You have people working together seriously, joking together, and even doing their best to be patient and teach and help out new players, such as someone like myself who struggles to remember key bindings and basic game mechanics.
You got heavy bleeding. You got heavy bleeding. I recommend you fix that.
How do I use the bandage? I'm pressing the button.
Press tab
Yep.
to open your body, and then drag the bandage to your heavy bleeding.
No, not that. Okay.
No, that's a smoke grenade. Yep, you just threw the smoke grenade.
Oh, that's how you That's how you.
There
do it.
you go.
Okay.
There you go. You're bandaging.
Thank you.
Oh, heck, you can even treat the game like a glorified chat room or a freaking Skype call where people just sit in main base and talk shit to each other playing tactical dress-up Barbie. But let me just show you an example, for instance. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm a pretty decent pilot. Arma 3, I'm a great pilot. RS2, ask anyone that was in my helicopter on those resort matches, and they will say Tantu is the best pilot in RS2. Well, they can't really contradict what I said because they're all dead, but I approached a man asking if he wanted to have a gunner because I wanted to kind of see how the pros fly in Reforger. It was all fun and games at first, but then it turned into something out of a Top Gun movie. He was dodging and weaving, trying to avoid air-to-air missiles while things were beeping really loudly, and I'm trying to figure out how to zoom in hopes of doing something that could be considered helpful. Now, while I am gassing up the Arma community as if they're these great, lovely people, I just wanted to say that my experience is based only on the limited interaction that I've had when I've been playing the game recently, because someone mentioned that the Arma community is like the Hearts of Iron 4 community. That is not a compliment, considering the fact that you have a World War II game that's a sandbox. It can attract some of the more degenerate players from multiple areas of the political compass meaning that you might have one person saying that Pol Pot wasn't that bad, or the next person might say that when I blow out my birthday candles, I wish Himmler would be resurrected. You'll say, Himmler, why not Hitler? And then they'll proceed to say that Hitler was too liberal for their liking. All in all is that you'll just get some of the most degenerate people. And yes, the Arma community definitely does attract some absolute scoundrels. But I don't know if other countries had this, but in Australia, on the physical copies of games, it'll say like GPG, but there'll be a warning saying gaming experience may change online. What that essentially says is if you let your 10-year-old son play this game, it's appropriate for their age, but if they go online, it's out of our control. Like if they get called a slur that you didn't even know existed, well hey, like we warned you. But this leads on to the new player experience. So you've bought the game, you install the 10 billion mods that some servers require, and then you spawn in. You'll be greeted by seeing people playing Tactical Barbie or Sex Offender Simulator, repping decked out guns and gear, and here you are with basic equipment. Well, you find these structures, pimp yourself out, and then the best course of action is to find a group of people, say, hey, I'm new but willing to talk and learn, and chances are they'll strap you into the rally car and hopefully don't drive you to your death. It's really a trial and error experience that will be frustrating at first, with all the walking and the realization that some servers don't allow you to see where you are on the map, which at that point I just find someone and stalk them to wherever they're going. But we don't remember all the victories or losses. We do remember the time of a man making weird noises and telling me to get on his motorbike, which of course you don't refuse. It was like a romantic Italian movie, a strong man riding his little motorbike with this beautiful dame on his back holding on for dear life. Well, he flips the bike 1, 2, 3 times before the motorbike just had enough.
Oh, okay, what the fuck was that? What the fuck? What the fuck? What is...
I'm under the map. Everything's upside down.
There you go. Oh, that's scary. Fuck off. Hang out, boys.
We were heading straight for the front lines to make our impact on our team. After driving for about 10 minutes, he flips the bike and, well, he fucking dies.
No, you're dead. So are you dead?
Nah, come, that's cool. I'm fucking online the grades around standing in the train.
This bloke over here thought it was the most hilarious thing, even though it wasn't a laughing matter. We went through so much just for him to die from a freaking brain crack explosion. But this is why you wear your helmets, kids. But just this stupid interaction like that had me on the verge of suffocating because it was just so random at 3 AM as well. That's why I love playing this game. But while the game is set in the mid-80s, a very underappreciated era in my opinion, you have heaps of mods that can make you go to present time with Apaches raining death from above, or 20 years to the past fending for your life against Vietnamese speaking trees, which is one of my favorite things because I never could get into Arma 3 Vietnam, like the mods and the DLC, but these guys are already on top of it. If you want something beyond RS2 on a larger scale that feels like a full-on war on a grand scale. But that is great. Who doesn't love mods? But there's just one issue. One teeny tiny issue that makes it utterly miserable, and that is the inbuilt mod platform. This loops back to my angst towards console players because Ready or Not and Insurgency Sandstorm fell down the same trap, but inbuilt mod platforms are atrocious. I don't care how good they make it. Nothing can simply beat Steam Workshop. For instance, let's say I get nostalgic and want to fly an F-16 in Arma 3. Hop into the Steam Workshop, instantly loads, download the one I want. I don't even need the game installed or even open to do so. One of the few times where a game launch is actually useful, I can just enable or disable it in the launcher, launch the game, and then slap it into the map editor, and bang, I'm flying in under like 5 minutes. And then I can pretend I'm Maverick from Top Gun whilst I'm drunk off my ass living in a fantasy world. But for Reforger, I have to launch the game, hope the mod store opens up, and then going into the equivalent of a map editor to slap it in and fly. Quite frankly, Gaben should be nominated for some award for the creation of the Steam Workshop because it just works. Simply put, it works flawlessly. I understand why they've done it this way though, so console players can have modding, which to a large extent is the whole purpose of Arma. But my god, it's just terrible to use. But the last thing I'll mention is I hope in Arma 4 they have a similar map editor, because the one in Reforger is it's also just not good. It's so cumbersome to use and it's just not the same. You know, Arma 3's map editor is like the Far Cry 2 or like Far Cry 3 map editor. It's just so easy to use, understand what you need to do. Compared to, for starters, I don't understand why there's like a live game mode, sort of like playing Game Master here. I really don't like that. For me, map editor is purely to slap in a couple of tanks, spawn in a drone or just a plane, and then bomb it, because I like the destruction mechanics. But look, in conclusion, it sounds like I'm writing a freaking essay over here where I have to end it like that, but in the past, I was not a fan of this game and did not enjoy it due to various reasons, but now the game feels like it's in a good spot, and if you're someone that enjoys these large-scale milsim-esque games, sure, it's not like Arma 3, I get that, but it's still pretty fun and in a good spot. But I'm starting to appreciate my sarcastic review because it actually became true. But I'll just let you watch my Arma 3 video because I know you'll enjoy it, and I'll also politely ask you to like and subscribe. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. My name is Tantu, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
If you're Japanese, I hope you get deported. If you're a weeaboo, I hope you fucking get acne, fucking STD bullshit. You deserve nothing good in life.
0, 2, 3.